Okay, so today's video is going to talk about multiplying polynomials. We've done some of this. This corresponds to pages 5 and 6 in the packet, by the way, and it's problems 6 through, I believe, 12 or 13. Anyway, so we're going to go through several of these problems. I did make an edit on one of these, so on the last one, we're going to do it as squared. So it's 2c plus 5d squared. Okay, so basically when we talk about multiplying polynomials, you may see the term FOIL used on Delta Math or on other websites. FOIL is just a different way of describing how to distribute polynomials to each other, or to use distribution to multiply out polynomials. I don't typically like to refer to it because it only works for binomial times binomial and it can be confusing. If you want to go into some of the videos in Delta Math and look at how to do it, that's fine. That's up to you. So what we're going to do though is we're going to work at multiplying polynomials. We're going to do some where it's 2 terms times 3 terms, or binomial times trinomial, somewhere it's 3 or 4 things multiplied together, and so on. So I'm just going to go through several of these problems. And then we're going to talk about how you can approach them in different ways. So this first one is a 2 by 3, and you can use distribution to set these problems up, or you can use boxes to set these problems up. I like to use boxes. And so since it's 2 by 3, that means I need to make a grid that is 2 high and 3 across. So I have 6 squares total. I'm going to write the 2-term polynomial w minus 7 along the side. Put the w in the top and the 7 in the bottom. Let me fix my w here because it looks kind of sad. Okay, and then across the top I'm going to put w squared plus 2w plus 1. So that each term goes along with a separate row or column. And then I'm going to multiply them together. So w squared times w becomes w to the third, because 2 plus 1, and remember when you multiply 2 exponentials together, you add them. W times 2w becomes 2w squared. 1 times w is just w. Then on the bottom, you have negative 7 times w, which is negative 7w squared. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14w. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. So now I've multiplied all my pieces together, and then all the problems always say write your answer in standard form. And standard form means you just write down the highest exponent and then down to the lowest. So our first one is going to be w to the third, and it's the only w to the third, so we're just going to write it down. Then we've got the w squareds, and I've got 2 of those. So I've got negative 7w squared plus 2w squared, which gives me negative 5w squared. And I add them together because they're like terms. Then I've got the w's. Negative 14 plus 1 is negative 13w. And then I'm going to write down the minus 7 because it's the only one of those. And so here is my final answer. W to the third minus 5w squared minus 13w minus 7. I cannot put anything else together because none of these have the same exponents anymore. And I've gotten it in standard form because I have the highest exponent first all the way down to the constant term. Okay, number 7 is a 2-step problem. So we're going to break it down into 2 parts. So you have a binomial times binomial to start with, which is right here. And then you also have this distribution part right here. So I'm going to go ahead and set up boxes to multiply this out. This 2 by 2 here. And then I'll distribute this later. Okay, so I'm basically going to approach this because it's split into 2 parts. I'm going to approach this like 2 separate problems. So I'm going to write 2x plus 1 and 4 minus 9x. And I could have written 2x plus 1 here and 4 minus 9x up here. The order doesn't matter. You just have to you have it all. And then I'm going to multiply it out. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times 1 is 4. Negative 9x times 2x is negative 18x squared. Negative 9x times 1 is negative 9x. Now this one's a little out of order, so our x squared term is here, so we're going to write down negative 18x squared. These two are my like terms. I got a little happy with my drawing there. 8x minus 9x gives me negative 1x. and then I have 4. So I have negative 18x squared minus x plus 4. Okay, now I'm going to go through and I'm going to distribute over here. So I've got negative 2x minus, or times 3x gives me negative 6x squared. Negative 2x times 11 gives me negative 22. So I've multiplied everything out. Now I'm going to combine my like terms again. So I've got negative 18x squared and negative 6x squared to give me negative 24x squared. Negative x is the only one of those. 4 minus 22 is negative 18. And there's my final answer. Okay, let's look at another problem. This is number 8. And number 8 can be a bit tricky because it involves a whole lot of pieces. There's multiple ways to approach this, but I'm going to start by multiplying all the parentheses together. So remember that multiplication is associative, which means you can group it however you want. But anytime you have a number out here like negative 3 times parentheses, it's really negative 3. You just distribute it to the first set of parentheses if you wanted to do that. I like to do that part last, so I like to multiply all the other parentheses first and then distribute last. It doesn't really matter, but the one thing you have to make sure of is you don't distribute negative 3 to all the numbers. It only goes to one set of parentheses. So here's how I like to approach these. I like to multiply backwards. Because like I said, order doesn't matter. So I'm going to do a minus 2 times a plus 8. So I've got a squared minus 2a plus 8a minus 16. So I'm going to write that down, a squared, and then plus 6a minus 16. I said minus 16, not plus 16. That's plus 6a. Okay. Then I'm going to distribute again. So I'm going to do this parentheses and this parentheses. So I'm going to set up another set of boxes. This time it's going to be 2 by 3. So I've got a plus 5 here. A squared plus 6a minus 16 goes here. So I have a times a squared is a to the third. A times 6a is 6a squared. A times negative 16 is negative 16a. And then I've got 5a squared, 30a, and negative 90. So now I'm going to write this down again. So I've got a to the third. These add together, plus 11a squared. These add together, so 30 minus 16 is plus 14a. Then minus 90, all that times negative 3. So now that I've multiplied all the parentheses out and got it down to a single polynomial, last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the negative 3 to everything. So I'm going to get negative 3a to the third minus 33a squared minus 42a plus 270. Okay. Problem 9 is a problem you've seen before, so I'm not going to go through it. I want you guys to work through this one on your own. This one says 2a plus 5d squared. So 2c plus 5d. So I wrote on your papers 2c plus 5d times 2c plus 5d. Remember, squared means multiply by itself, so you're going to repeat each factor. So then you're just going to set up 2 boxes and multiply that one out. So I'm going to let you guys do that one on your own. Okay. Now let's look on the back, and let's look at problem number 10. So number 10 is a 3-term times 3 terms, or trinomial times trinomial. So this time, instead of setting up 6 boxes, my grid is actually going to be 3 by 3, or 9 boxes. So I'm going to write 3m squared minus 4m plus 1, 2m squared plus 5m minus 9. And as long as your grid has the same dimensions, like if it's 3 by 3, it doesn't matter the order you write them in. If it's 2 by 3, you got to write the 2-term polynomials wherever you have 2 slots. You got to write the 3-term polynomial where you have 3 boxes. Okay, so I'm going to multiply all this out. 2m squared times 2m squared. is 6m to the fourth. 2m squared times negative 4m is negative 8m to the third. 2m squared times 1 is 2m squared. Then on the bottom, it's 15m to the third, negative 20m squared, 5m. And then the last one is negative 27m squared, 36m, and negative 9. So I've got it all multiplied out. Now I just have to write my answer in standard form. So 6m to the fourth is going to come first, and it's the only one of those. And when you do the box method, your corners, you're always going to have two corners that don't combine with anything. That one goes first. Then the next one, I'm going to put these two boxes together because they're the same. So I've got 15 minus 8 would be positive 7m to the third. For the next one, I'm going to put these three boxes together. So negative 27 plus negative 20 plus 2 would be negative 45m squared. And then I'm going to put these two. So I got 36 plus 5 is positive 41m. And then minus 9. So on a trinomial times trinomial, you're going to set up 9 boxes, a 3 by 3 grid, multiply them out, and then combine your like terms. Okay, number 11 is going to be an awful lot like number 10, so I'm going to have you guys do that on your own, and I'm going to look at number 12, which is the word problem. And I know word problems always strike fear into the hearts of students, but you guys can do this. So, this is the height of a trapezoid can be expressed as 2x plus 9, while the bases can be expressed as 3x minus 7 and x plus 5. And they want us to write something that represents the area. So they basically want us to multiply it all out. And we're going to put our answer in standard form. Now, area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height times the sum of the bases. Okay? So we know the height is 2x plus 9. We know one of the bases is 3x minus 7. The other base is x plus 5. So first, I'm going to add my two bases together. That's going to be big B plus little b. And I'm going to get so 1/2 times the height. And then the sum of these is going to be 4x minus 2. Because I'm just going to add 3x plus x gives me 4x. Negative 7 plus 5 gives me negative 2. Okay? Next thing I want to do, because this 1/2 would make fractions and I don't want that, I'm going to multiply out my 2 by 2 grid. So I've got 2 by 2, 2x plus 9, 4x minus 2. This would be 8x squared plus 36x minus 4x minus 18. So when I combine my like terms, I've still got the 1/2. I've got 8x squared plus 32x, because negative 4 plus 36 is 32, and then minus 18. And then I'm going to distribute the 1/2, so I'm going to multiply everything by 1/2. And then 1/2 times 8 is 4. Half of 32 is 16. Half of 18 is negative 9. So I have 4x squared plus 16x minus 9. Okay, so on your homework on this, you're going to work through delta math. I think the delta math is actually easier than the problems, but you've got to do number 9 and 11 in the packet. And if you don't have the physical copy of the packet, these problems are posted on Google Classroom. You can just write them on a separate piece of paper. And then your delta math, and I believe you have 10 problems on multiplying polynomials.